So the 2018 NFL trade deadline is coming up pretty soon. And I was watching the NFL Network, and they were doing a segment with Deion Sanders. And I'm going to be honest with you, Prime got me excited about this one.
Hey, Patrick Peterson reminds me of a 93 Prime. Just a whole lot of talent, but he's at a destination that ain't going nowhere because there ain't no gas in the car, all right? Until I went to San Francisco and won that thing, I was thought of a whole lot different. Patrick Peterson needs to be in New Orleans. Sean Payton, hear me clearly. Lattimore, Patrick Peterson, baby, you going to the Super Bowl. With Drew Brees and them on the offensive side of the ball, you are going to the Super Bowl. You get Lattimore, Patrick Peterson. Oh! I feel like getting up and running right now. I can just see it.
Oh! Man, y'all get the point. Man, Prime really did have a point when he said that, though, man. Can you imagine, as a Saints fan, Marshawn Lattimore on one side, Patrick Peterson on the other? Man, that does sound sexy, don't it? The trade deadline is coming up, and I thought it would be interesting if we would go through some possible trade scenarios for the New Orleans Saints. Now, I'm in no way, shape, or form saying that these scenarios will happen, okay? However, I am going to break down each particular scenario, and if I feel it would be a very, very smart move by the New Orleans Saints. The first trade scenario would be Amari Cooper. Now, there has been talks around the National Football League that the Oakland Raiders are interested in possibly trading Amari Cooper. So, is Amari Cooper a good fit for the New Orleans Saints this 2018 season? I must admit, Amari Cooper is a good player. He's a good, solid player. And it would be a very, very good pickup for the New Orleans Saints if they were to trade for Amari Cooper. However, I don't think that this would be a good idea. First off, you paid Karen Meredith 2 years, $9.5 million to come to New Orleans. And I noticed over the past couple weeks that Karen Meredith has been making plays. Now, Karen Meredith has started off slow. Of course, he's coming off an ACL injury that he sustained playing for the Chicago Bears last season. And a lot of people were wondering when Karen and Meredith was going to show up. Now, Cam Meredith has shown up for the New Orleans Saints. He has been making plays over the past couple weeks. And not to mention the emergence of Traquan Smith on Monday Night Football. So, as sexy as this pick would be for the Saints to pick up Amari Cooper before the trade deadline, I'm going to have to say no. The next person on the list is another Oakland Raider, linebacker Bruce Irvin. Should the Saints work out a trade with the Oakland Raiders to acquire linebacker Bruce Irvin? Look, I like Bruce Irvin. I like the passion that he plays the game of football. We all remember him from his days in Seattle. He was one of the heart and soul players of that defense on the Seattle Seahawks that got them their first Super Bowl title in franchise history. But Bruce Irvin is 30 years old. He is 30 years old, and some of his best days are clearly behind him. He is not the same player that he once was. And I'm not sure if I'm ready to give up on linebacker Alex Anzalone. Now, I know we all seen it. I know you seen on Monday Night Football Adrian Peterson run that boy over like he was a 15-year-old. But Alex Anzalone is a quality player if he stays healthy. Now, I do think he kind of regressed just a tad bit from the play that he had last year before he got hurt. But, I mean, he's still young and he's still learning. And, of course, I'm going to be honest with you, I like Craig Robinson a lot more than Anzalone. Bruce Irvin, if he was a couple years younger, I would say yes. You wouldn't give up more than a fourth-round pick for him, but I wouldn't do it right now because of his age, and I feel like some of his best days are behind him. And lastly would be cornerback of the Arizona Cardinals, Patrick Peterson. Do I believe that Patrick Peterson should be acquired by the Saints before the trade deadline. And of course, the Saints should acquire Patrick Peterson because it is plain and simple. The Saints are in win now mode. You have Drew Brees under a 2-year contract, and honestly, the window is closing on the career of Drew Brees. The Saints need to acquire Patrick Peterson. And I feel like Patrick Peterson would want to play for the New Orleans Saints, not because he went to LSU. I mean, that seems pretty obvious, but it's not because of that. It's because Patrick Peterson has been the best player on a team that has regressed. Honestly, man, the Arizona Cardinals, it's clear that they are in rebuild mode. They drafted quarterback Josh Rosen out of UCLA, and honestly, they have a young team, for the exception of the veteran Larry Fitzgerald. Patrick Peterson wants to win a Super Bowl. He has been the best cornerback, in my opinion, in the National Football League for more than half of a decade. He's just not one of those people like Josh Norman that wants to talk his way to the top, or like a Richard Sherman who likes to talk. Patrick Peterson is your classic hard hat, lunch pail, go to work every day football player. He is not going to be in the news talking about how he's going to shut somebody down. He goes out there and handle up on his business. He's a leader. He's a future Hall of Famer. But he needs a Super Bowl on his resume. And how many more years can Patrick Peterson play at this high level? It's clear that he is in his prime. And he wants to make sure that he leaves the game a Super Bowl champion. And what better way for him to get that opportunity than to come to the New Orleans Saints and play in a secondary with arguably one of the best young corners in the National Football League. Not only would this be beneficial to Patrick Peterson possibly winning a Super Bowl, but it would be beneficial to Marshawn Lattimore to learn under the tutelage of a very, very great cornerback. I think it would be best for both parties. And I think it would be great for the New Orleans Saints to go out here and make this thing happen. Now, what do I think they need to give up for a player like Patrick Peterson? I'm going to be honest with you. Wouldn't give up a second-round pick. You already lost your first-round pick for next year because you acquired Marcus Davenport. I would give up a third-round pick because, honestly, I don't think that the Saints would possibly get a third-round pick that would be equal and on the level of a Patrick Peterson right away. Now, if they can find a player like that, look, I'll be like, okay, cool. Y'all think they got another Patrick Peterson out there y'all can get in the third round? Cool. But I don't think so because I feel like Patrick Peterson is a once-in-a-lifetime type secondary player. Honestly, man, you don't see players like this. He's big, he's physical, he's athletic, and honestly, he is a great human being, and he's a good leader, and he will be great in that locker room. New Orleans Saints, if you're smart, Patrick Peterson will be a New Orleans Saints before the trade deadline. This has been the State of the Saints podcast. Till next time, who dat?